In today's Leeds news, Sean Longstaff deal agreed, Leeds agrees Stach terms, Harrison has interest, and today's rumour mill stories on Facundo, Buononotte and Uche. Morning folks, welcome back to The View for Wednesday morning the 16th of July with your Leeds United news, and it's a slightly more positive day in the Leeds United transfer world as stuff looks like it's getting close to being done. Not all done and dusted just yet, that should be pointed out, but getting very much more closer to the positive results we're hoping for in the next couple of days. Before we crack on today, just a really quick shout out, don't do them that often but I wanted to do this one. Best of luck to Poppy, who's playing in the under-13s for Schultz in the Gothia Cup this weekend in Sweden. I hope it goes well for you. Hope you're catching the Leeds United and Manchester United game while you're there as well, Poppy. Have a great time and best of luck in the Cup. Also, for those asking about the Leeds United away kit, I believe the kit is being released tomorrow, Thursday. Could be slightly wrong on that, but that's the information that I have right now. So, yeah, if you're looking at getting that, the Fanatics links are down below. If you want to help support the channel, you can do it through those links as well when it is launched. Anyway, let's start off today's news by talking about Sean Longstaff. And it feels like we've been here before, but some good news out there in terms of Leeds last night that should relax a couple of fan nerves. Last night, in an Athletic exclusive, David Ornstein broke the news that Leeds United and Newcastle United had agreed terms on Sean Longstaff to move to West Yorkshire. Leeds' initial bid of £10 million plus £2 million in add-ons was initially rejected by Newcastle, but the new bid that has been accepted is said to be £12 million with £3 million in add-ons, and some of those add-ons are said to be related to Leeds United staying in the Premier League, which is a nice change from the add-ons Leeds added in and the clauses they put the last time they were in the Premier League. These ones are all related to performance-related bonuses and clauses that keep Leeds up, whereas the last ones were related to loan exits. So if it doesn't go well, you've got to get out of jail free card. So much more constructive terms being put in at this place. Personal terms between Longstaff and Leeds are already set to be in place, so no issues there at this point. And Longstaff is expected to travel to West Yorkshire in the next 36 hours in order to complete his medical and finalise the last couple of details on his deal. Should all that go according to plan, then Longstaff is expected to travel with the Leeds United squad to the game at the weekend against Manchester United in Stockholm, and more importantly be part of Leeds pre-season camp in Germany next week. So great that one's being done and dusted. It's not all across the line just yet. There are still I's to be dotted and T's to be crossed, so but very much heading in the right direction. That will get that one in the door. We'll see where we go from there. That's signing number 5 potentially, and signing 6 might be very quickly behind him should reports today be believed. This morning in the early breaking news, Sky Sports Germany journalist Florian Plettenberg also released an exclusive of his own that should please quite a lot of the fan base. According to Plettenberg, he states today that Leeds United and Anton Stach have agreed personal terms over a move to Leeds United. The Hoffenheim central defensive midfielder is a primary target for Leeds United, but at this point the report does say that Leeds and Hoffenheim are yet to agree a fee for the player, but negotiations are said to be ongoing. Plettenberg says that Hoffenheim want close to €20 million, that's about £17.5 million, plus add-ons for the services of Stach. Leeds are obviously trying to wiggle that price down a little bit, stretch those pennies as far as they can, and get the best deal they can at this point. And as we know, Stach will add a lot more physicality, a lot more height, and a tougher defensive profile in the Leeds United central midfield area. So what are we getting with Stach should that come true? Again, it's not done and dusted by any stretch of the imagination right now, but what are we getting if he does come in? Well, he's 26 years of age, as I say. 6 foot 4 inches in height, and he is described as a 2-footed player. In terms of his ability, his tackling percentages are in the high 70 percentages, and he's in the top 7% of interceptions of players in the European's top 5 leagues. He's also in the top 3% of ball recoveries in Europe's top 5 leagues. Blocks per 90 minutes, he's in the top 20%, and possession won back, he has averages 5.94 per 90 minutes, higher than anything we saw in the Championship last season. Ground duel wise, he's in the top 10% in Europe's top 5 leagues, and he won the second most amount of duels in the Bundesliga last season. Progressive passing is a huge part of this as well. He's in the top 18% in Europe's top 5 leagues in terms of progressing passes into the final third. And as you can guess, his standout attributes are his interceptions, his blocks, his aerial duels, his ball recoveries, and progressive passes. And that's the really interesting one here. He is known as a defensive destroyer in Germany, but you've also got a central defensive midfielder who has got very high progressive passing stats. So you're not getting a lateral defensive midfielder here. You are getting someone who will look to progress the ball forward as well. Good player, would add an awful lot more to Leeds' defensive midfield profiles. Leeds are definitely focusing on not conceding goals this season, which will be a huge part about staying in the Premier League if previous season's numbers are to be looked at. But yeah, upgrade on what we've got in the middle of the park. It remains to be seen then what would happen with Ilya Gruev. Does he stay around for depth? Maybe. Or does he move on? There was interest in Germany in him last year as well. So we'll see on that one. But yeah, very positive news this morning. Assuming Leeds can get a fee agreed for Stach in the next couple of days, ignoring the weekend's game maybe with this one, but getting him involved in the camp in Germany. He's already in Germany already, so short move for him to head up to the pre-season camp for Leeds, and that would be very important to have him and Sean Longstaff along with Jakobiol, Sebastian Bornau, Lucas Meche, all those players in there as well. So good stuff right now. Let's move on. Let's talk about a potential exit. And as we said at the beginning of the week, Jack Harrison will likely dominate the back pages in terms of exits from Leeds United this summer. And there is some updates coming out of the club today. According to Sportsbeam via Leeds Live, they state that Harrison is attracting interest from Everton and newly promoted Burnley as well. As we know from Dan James's new deal, Everton did try to get a deal done for Dan James and didn't realise he would sign a new contract at Leeds and were confident getting him to the club, and they favoured James over Harrison, but he signed that new deal and that took him off the table, and now apparently Everton have swung back in the direction of Jack Harrison. The report states that Leeds will listen to offers of over £10 million for the winger, and newly promoted Burnley are said to be keeping an eye on the situation around Harrison. Harrison himself is said to favour a move back to Everton, where he spent the last 2 years, and is believed to have some form of a release clause in his contract, although it's likely higher than the £10 million being discussed at the moment, considering when that contract was negotiated, Leeds were a Premier League club and Harrison's stock was higher at the time. Harrison last played a competitive game for Leeds United back in May 2023, and it's still not being confirmed whether he will be travelling with the squad to Stockholm. That will give us a real indication as to what part of Daniel Farke's plans Jack Harrison will be in this year. We'll get a closer look at that over the weekend. If Leeds haven't got any more wide players coming in, it might be worthwhile keeping him around just for a training camp at this point. They'll need the bodies, and then they'll obviously be looking for some form of a wide player at some point, whether it's a man or Solomon coming back to the club late in the window or somebody else coming in. We'll have to wait and see. Let's move into the rumour mill territory, and as I always say with this, take everything in here with a pinch of salt. These are very much coming from the back pages and not the most credible of sources, so I'll give you a detail and then you can decide. Let's start off with Facundo Buononotte, and according to reports from Ficias today, they say that Leeds United are interested in Brighton and Hove Albion's central attacking midfielder Facundo Buononotte. Leeds were rumoured to have some interest in Buononotte with the last time we were in the Premier League, but at that point the player decided to move to Brighton and Hove Albion, but Leeds are now said to have interest in the player again. Buononotte spent last season on loan at Leicester City, and despite their relegation, he clocked up 6 goals and 3 assists in 35 appearances for the club. The 20-year-old is highly rated, but won't come cheap for Leeds should they decide to make a move. The report states that Brighton want in and around £30 million plus add-ons and a sell-on clause if they are to agree to sell Buononotte this summer. Buononotte can play in several positions. He can play as a 10 or on the right. He can also play in the left, but his preferred position is in that number 10 role. And the young Argentine has a huge amount of potential, but Leeds might need something more experienced in that role next season. But if Leeds could maybe negotiate a loan move with maybe an option to buy for Buononotte next season, that could be a smart move by Leeds to bring in another player there, keep the cost down, and then maybe put those pennies towards a different signing in the attacking areas. From a statistics perspective, Buononotte did exceed his XG last season, and his passing stats are all in the 80% range, so very positive stuff there. And he created plenty of big chances that unfortunately for Leicester weren't converted by them, but he does have that in his locker. So young player, lots of potential, very high ceiling. Whether it's what Leeds need right now, I don't know. But another year behind him in the Premier League coming into next season, you would imagine he'd step on again, maybe with a better side around him. He'd get more out of him as well. So yeah, interesting one. We'll keep an eye on that one. Let's move on and talk about Christantos Uche. And according to reports from AS Today, they claim that Leeds have got some level of interest in Getafe and Nigerian striker Christantos Uche. The striker has been given permission to miss Getafe's pre-season camp in Valencia in order to seal a rumoured move to a Premier League club. At this point, Leeds United, Brighton and Hove Albion and Wolves have all been named as interested parties, but only as interested parties at this point. Leeds' priority target this summer is said to be Rodrigo Muniz, and Leeds are said to be considering waiting to get that deal done, and have said via Graham Smith and Isaac Johnson's report that they believe they can get a deal done for Rodrigo Muniz, but it will likely come later in the window and could be one that goes right up until deadline day. So Leeds not in a rush in that position just yet. They have very much got their target. He will be an expensive target, Muniz. Uche, not a huge amount of goals and assists last season, but is a decent player. Might suit what Leeds are looking for. But yeah, that's when they can probably hang on a little bit and get the right player. But Muniz will cost an awful lot of money, and Leeds might be trying to shave a couple of pennies off the edges of deals at the moment in order to put that towards getting a deal for Rodrigo Muniz later in the window. We'll have to keep an eye on that and wait and see. We might be back tonight about 7:30, 7 o'clock with a podcast, depending on a couple of bits and pieces. Keep an eye out for that. If not tonight, it will be tomorrow night instead. And again, if you are buying any merch from the Leeds United official store, if you want to use the links down below, that helps support the channel. And I'll be back tomorrow morning, definitely tomorrow morning, possibly tonight, with more Leeds news. Enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll talk to you soon. See ya. Bye.